In 1957, a handsome 23-year-old from Punjab stood in front of the grandees of Hindi cinema music, Anil Biswas, Naushad Ali, C. Ramchandra, Vasant Desai, and Madan Mohan. A few minutes later, he won a prestigious All India singing competition, setting him off on a glorious career in playback singing. The young man was Mahendra Kapoor, who sang some of Hindi cinema's most iconic songs. That he did so in the looming shadows of music greats such as Mohammad Rafi, Kishore Kumar, Talat Mahmood, Manna Dey, and Mukesh, to whom he was between 15 and 5 years junior, gives Mahendra Kapoor a unique place. One of the rewards of the Metro Murphy singing competition in 1957 was that the winner may get to sing a line or two in songs composed by the judges. In Mahendra Kapoor's case, it turned out to be a whole song for C. Ramchandra for the movie Navrang, produced and directed by the legendary V. Shantaram. The song was the enduring hit Aadha Hai Chandrama Raat Aazi with Asha Bhosle, who was already a widely successful playback singer by then. This year marks Mahendra Kapoor's 90th birth anniversary. Mayank Chhaya report spoke to his singer-actor son Ruhan Kapoor, who continues his father's glorious legacy doing concerts around the world. Now Mahendra Kapoor's grandson Siddhant too has emerged as a successful composer and singer. He joined the conversation as well. Ruhan and Siddhant Kapoor. Welcome to Mayank Chhaya Reports, Ruhan Bhai. It's a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Bhai. Same here, likewise. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here with you today.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you know this year marks the 90th birth anniversary of your illustrious and gifted father, Mr. Mahendra Kapoor. मैं
जी
आपसे
जी
ये जानना चाह रहा था आपकी what is your earliest memory of him as a child?
Bhai, I have beautiful memories with him. If I say, right as a child, he was a very caring, a very doting, a very loving father, extremely loving person. By large, by his nature, he was a very loving person. And but his one very unique feature, his unique nature was that he never showed his popularity or his, the way people adulated him, loved him. It never reflected upon his personality anytime, anywhere. But matlab, unless he was in a show where people are, mocking him and asking for photographs and autographs. But हमें बहुत देर तक तो वर्जित रहा. You'll be amazed. I must have been in the 6th or 7th standard, and the principal of my school, St. Mary's School in Bombay, uh, seemed to have contacted my father by himself and told him that Mr. Kapoor, we are having a show in the school, and we would like to call you as the chief guest, and you should attend there. So my father agreed to that, and I little did I know that this was happening. We all knew that something is happening in the auditorium there. But then suddenly, when my father came from the window of my class, I was seeing a lot of teachers suddenly running towards him and asking for autographs, and there was a photographer kept to take photographs with him, and this thing. And I'm wondering, अभी तो कितने लोगों के fathers आए? Why is everyone troubling my father like that? It was
अच्छा.
hard enough. मतलब, and till a very very late age, I would say, I realized, or I even came to know that he is such a famous personality. And the teachers were gaga over him, and the students, the our seniors, of course, they knew what he was. We were all too young kids. We didn't know. But
Yeah.
ऐसा उनका मिजाज था. He's a
जी.
very simple soul, a very very down to earth person. He would never. I mean, he was never a pompous or a proud of his work. Never, never.
जी. I was watching some of his interviews in the run-up to our conversation. It struck me that he was such a amiable, very low-key, almost shy person when he didn't sing. There was a particular
Yes,
conversation between him and his dear friend, Mr. Amin Sayani, that I watched on Sayadri
yes,
TV. They were
yes,
very close friends, I know for a fact. So,
yes.
but
It was almost as if Amin Bhai had to extract words out of your father's mouth. He was that low key. So if
जी
that's
जी
your
जी
impression, obviously you grew up with him. So is that what you remember too?
Absolutely, my bhai. We used to, at some times he amazed us. We used to I'll tell you a unique thing here. And I mean, his modesty, his humility went to like sometimes it's just you would say being read in storybooks or in moral stories somewhere, and he
Right.
really led that type of a life. I very often I hear about Dr. Abdul Kalam, our ex-president, and I remember my father so often that there was so many similarities in great people that he was such a noble soul. He was such a
Right.
noble soul. He was more concerned about his staff, about his assistants, about his, and at the same time very jovial person. He was not a very serious person, a very jovial person. He would laugh. He was a terrific mimicry artist. He could mimic anyone. Yeah. He
Acha.
was a very good mimicry artist. Yeah, yeah. उस शो के बाद तो सारे हमारे जितने वो म्यूजिशियंस होते थे, they used to
Ji.
wait कि पापा जी शो के बाद आएंगे. They see my father normally used to tell them that you all get together, have a drink because he was a teetotaler. तो आप लोग ड्रिंक करो, मैं आऊंगा वहां, I'll spend some time with you, then I leave for my hotel and you people enjoy yourselves. But they used to not drink in
Acha.
front of him. So he
Oh,
knew कि
acha.
वो फिर being enjoy नहीं करेंगे अगर मैं रहूंगा यहाँ पर तो. So he would
Ji.
go there and they would wait. पापा जी ये जो ऑर्गेनाइजर था इसकी इसकी क्या peculiarities आपने ढूंढी. So he would imitate people, he would imitate some character who we met in the
Acha.
morning or someone who came to receive him at the airport. He was like he had a camera type of a thing, he used to capture
Right.
images and he would yeah, and it was terrific. I mean, he was something like that. At the same time, extremely humble, extremely down to earth, very very
Right.
grounded person,
It's an
very grounded
interesting,
person.
very interesting segue for me because in that same interview, Mr. Sayani speaks of your father being an excellent stage actor and a terrific with a terrific comic timing,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
uh, which prompts me to ask you, why is it that you think he didn't also take to the life of an actor? आपने किया, उन्होंने नहीं किया, आप बताइए क्यों नहीं किया?
I think it was my mother. It was my mother and his family. See, I'll tell you, he was always a singer in St. Xavier's College. That's the college that he was a
Right.
St. Xavier student, a school student, as well as his college, St. Xavier's College student.
अच्छा.
So when he came into college, and they had that Sangeet Natya, that academy, what the children they do there. So he was very very popular in his college for as being a singer. At the same time, there was a very very popular director who was his colleague, Vijay Anand, Devanand
Of course.
Saab's brother.
जी
So
जी.
Vijayanand Saab was at the same time in the college uh, as a fabulous director of plays. अब वो उनको तलाश थी कि मुझे कोई जिसका लहजा अच्छा हो, जिसकी जिसके तलफ़्फ़ुज़ अच्छे हों, ऐसा
जी.
एक बच्चे की उनको तलाश थी. And his eye went on my father when he was singing. So my father used to sing, and in those days, Talat Saab songs or Rafi Saab songs or whichever the popular singers were in those days. So he used to say, Mahinder, your diction, every word you speak is so clear and you're very clear in your diction and your expressions are so beautiful. Why don't you try your hand at acting? So my father told him outrightly, no, no, Goldie. They used to call him Goldie.
जी.
This is not my cup of tea. I'm a singer. I know I'm a performer, but I don't think I can act. He says, why are you deciding that? Let me decide that. Yeah,
अच्छा.
okay. So the first play they did together was called Rehearsal. And
Oh,
that play did so well, man, bhai, so well that it came in the intercollegiate, in the mainstream in the intercollegiate, and they went to Delhi, and this play won the award, and Dad got an award by Jawaharlal Nehru Saab.
oh, really?
Yes, as a best actor. It was a comedy
Hey,
play.
no, that's quite remarkable. I'm glad you mentioned that because to digress a little bit before I get into the main questions and come back to One simple fact that in 1957 he won the All India singing competition,
Ji.
where the judges were absolute masters of their domain. You had
Oh,
Anil
yes.
Biswas, you had Naushad, you had Madan Mohan, you had
Ji.
Vasant Desai, and you had Sri Ram Chandra. Now these were the
Ji.
giants of the day.
Yes.
To win in front of them meant absolutely everything for a young singer like your father. So he won as an actor later on in college, but before that, he had already won a very major contest, which led to his career. What did he ever talk to you about that?
See, he was his in chronology. During his colleging days,
Mhm.
he was already very popular, and then it was almost towards the end of his college time that this Metro Murphy contest came up,
I see.
and at that time, a friend of his name was Surinder Kapoorji,
Gee,
who, without even informing him, filled his name and sent the form and told him, "Ki Mahinder, I know you are a fabulous singer, and I want you to participate in this competition." So my father got a little bit amused at him. "Are you crazy? That's an all India competition. Where do you think I will stand? There are such brilliant singers today." So he said, "What is the harm in trying?"
right.
So he said, "Okay." And then he tried, and he passed from the state level, then he came to the country level, and then he was awarded the Metro Murphy award, of
Gee,
course.
right.
And at that time, then immediately after that, he got work from Naushad Saab, and first thing was from C. Ramchandraji and Datta Saab. And Datta Saab gave him a lot of work. So when he recorded for Navrang, which was
That
his
was
first
his
song,
very first
V.
film and
Shantaramji,
a big hit, big hit.
big hit. So after that, V. Shantaramji became after him. That Mahinder, you are such a good-looking singer. I want you to play the main lead in my film.
Acha.
So and that film was uh, Patthar. What is that? In the film in which Jitendra Saab became the hero then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. मेरे भी दिमाग से निकल गई बात. I'm sorry.
हाँ,
I'm sure it will come back, but I know which one you mean.
हाँ. And and my father came back home, and he was already married. He was married very young in our family. In
Okay.
those days, that's how it used to be. And my wife, she my his wife, that's my mother, she got a little low, and my grandparents said, "No, Mahinder, you are very good as a singer. Stay a singer. Don't go venture into acting and all that, beta. Then
Acha.
you'll be limited only as an actor singer. Don't do that. Emphasize on your singing career. You are a brilliant singer." So then he
Ji,
had to
ji.
tell no to uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vishantaramji. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To talk about a very important friendship,
Sorry,
association,
Geet Gaya
influence in
Pathrone.
Geet Gaya
The,
Patharone.
the
Yeah,
film
yeah.
was Geet Gaya Pathrone. Yes.
Ji, ji,
So he
bilkul.
was
Yeah,
offered
yeah.
the lead role in Geet Gaya Pathrone. Then
That's
later on,
amazing. I
when
didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah,
To come
sorry,
back to something which I'm sure has been in your family for a long time, his great association, great friendship, great admiration, and great influence, Muhammad Rafi Saab.
yes,
They were separated by 10 years. Muhammad Rafi was born in 1924, your father in 34. So there was a gap of 10 years between the two.
yes, yes,
इनफैक्ट कपूर साहब ने एक वही इंटरव्यू में कहा था कि जब वो 10-11 साल के थे तब उन्होंने
yeah.
रफी साहब के नीचे थोड़ी बहुत ट्रेनिंग भी गाने की ली थी. So their association was a very long association for quite some time. Tell me, what are your memories of your father talking about the great Muhammad Rafi, and what do you remember the most in terms of the striking association between these two remarkable singers?
My his association with Rafi Sahab, with Rafi, I would say, um, was something beyond. There are words in vocabulary which I could mention. The first song he heard of Rafi Sahab was you know with he was singing with a duet with Noor Jahan ji, Madam Noor Jahan ji. यहाँ बदला वफा का बेवफाई के सिवा क्या है,
Wonderful song, yeah.
मोहब्बत करके भी देखा, मोहब्बत में भी धोखा है.
जी जी.
So, so this was a song that floored my father, and he said कि मेरे जैसे रोम रोम में वो आवाज जो थी वो गूंजनी शुरू हो गई. कहता I fell in love with his voice. And in those days, it was not so easy. The media was not so elaborate. People were not so popular. People knew who the singers were, or more or less, but it was not like, the big thing,
जी,
cinema as
आज
it is
के
today.
जैसे सेलिब्रिटीज नहीं थे जी.
Yeah, I'm talking about 1947.
Yeah.
So my father became a divine follower of this voice, unknowing that who the singer is. एंड उस जमाने में रिकॉर्ड जिसको तवा बोलते थे उस जमाने में, वो तवा लेके आई तवा पंजाबी च,
जी
वो तवा
जी जी.
लेके आई तवा. हाँ, तो उसके एंड में वो सिंगर जो थे ही यूज्ड टू से मैं मोहम्मद रफी, नूरजहां जी से मैं नूरजहां, मतलब द सिंगर्स यूज्ड टू pronounce their
अपना
own
नाम
name.
कहते थे जी.
Yeah, the label never even mentioned their name earlier. It was so. ये चीज लता जी ने शुरू करवाई थी कि सिंगर्स का नाम होना चाहिए इसके ऊपर इन इंडिया. एंड मैं भाई उस जमाने में उन्होंने ही केम फ्रॉम तो ही यूज्ड टू गो टू स्कूल, एंड देन ही गॉट टू नो कि ये जो सिंगर हैं जनाब मोहम्मद रफी साहब हैं, एंड ही यूज्ड टू राइट रफी रफी इन द बुक्स, एंड ये बड़ी मार भी खाई उन्होंने.
अच्छा.
तो कैथलिक टीचर बेचारी समझती नहीं थी, अरे तुम क्या पागल है, हम ज्योग्राफी सिखाता है, तुम रफी रफी लिखते हैं, कौन है ये रफी. और वो भी बच्चे थे, बोले कुछ नहीं, वो चुप रहते थे. अब नकिल पे मार रहे हैं, वो रो रहे हैं, लेकिन वो फिर भी अपनी उसमें से हरकतों से बाज नहीं आए. वो उनका एक लड़का था उनके साथ जो बैठता था, वो मुस्लिम बॉय. तो उसने बोला, कपूर, आई थिंक दिस जेंटलमैन, दिस नेम साउंड्स लाइक अ मुस्लिम नेम. दैट सेड या मस्ट बी. तो ही सेड कि मैं I'll ask my father if I can get you his, would you like to meet him? कहता you are asking me, कहता oh that would be the greatest thing in my life. तो उसने कहीं से पता किया. My dad went to one Mohammed Rafi Saab who had a laundry, and my father told me, I want to talk to you, and said, beta, what for? कहता I love your music. But I'm a laundry man, I'm not on. So he understood that dad was in search of Mohammed Rafi Saab, who was a singer.
I
अब
see.
वहां से उन्होंने भिंडी बाजार का उनको एड्रेस दिलाया. डैड बहुत प्यारे से बच्चे थे, बड़े रोलू पोलू, बड़े चबी बच्चे थे. बोला ये बच्चा तो बहुत प्यारा है, बड़ा खानदानी बच्चा है, इसको मैं एड्रेस ढूंढ के देता हूँ. तो बेटा 2 दिन के बाद आना, मैं अब आपको सही एड्रेस दूंगा आपके मोहम्मद रफी का. तो डैड वेंट देयर टू रफी साहब, एंड रफी साहब एंड हिज एल्डर ब्रदर, द पर्सन हु एक्चुअली मेड very few people speak about him, very few people know about him, but the actual person who made Rafi Saab was Hamid Bhai, his elder brother. He was the foundation of Rafi Saab. He was the person who got Rafi Saab from Lahore to Bombay, and he used to work in the railways, and was a very, very close family friend of Rafi Saab's family in Lahore. So they were not very literate people there in his Rafi Saab's family. So they were very scared कि हम कैसे बेटे को भेजेंगे, how will he go to Bombay and what will happen. तो हमीद भाई ने पहल की और उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, ये मेरे भाई समान है छोटा, मैं इसको लेके जाता हूँ बॉम्बे, एंड आई विल सी व्हाटएवर आई कैन डू फॉर हिम देयर. तो हमीद भाई गॉट हिम हियर टू रफी साहब, एंड देन उनको सब मिलाया नौशाद साहब से, एंड पंडित श्याम सुंदर जी से, एंड ऑल दीज कंपोजर्स हु वर देयर दैट टाइम.
Right.
So coming back to our story, Dad went to meet Rafi Saab in the midst of the 1947 chaos that was happening in India, the partition, all the jagde jo ho rahe the. Lekin Hamid bhai and Rafi Saab got an instant fancy for my father. So my father went there, unke saath unse taaleem li, and for many years, Rafi Saab and my father became inseparables. Rafi Saab used to come to our house. He used to come to meet my grandparents. He was very fond of good food, Punjabi
हाँ
food.
जी.
तो रफी साहब फोन करते थे मेरी ग्रैंडमदर को, बीजी भटूरे छोले खाने, बस ये आज ही लस्सी पीनी है. लस्सी का बड़ा शौक था उनको.
अच्छा.
तो ये बना, अरे रफी साहब आओ ना. तो आके बड़े प्यार से भजन भी सुनाते थे मेरे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स को. और जब वो रिकॉर्डिंग्स पे जाया करते तो डैड वो बीजी को फोन, बीजी महेंद्र स्कूल तो आ गया, पंजाबी में बोलते थे, बड़ा
जी.
धीमे बात करते थे. That's what my father told me. He used to mimic him very well. बीजी महेंद्र स्कूल तो आ गया. बीच में कहा, हाँ जी रफी साहब स्कूल तो आ गया ते कोई ट्यूशन वगैरह ते नहीं? बोला नहीं रफी साहब ते थल्ले भेज दियो ओनू आज रिकॉर्डिंग जाना है मैं ते
अच्छा,
हाँ, so the servant used to take dad in a short pants and a t-shirt. He used to stand down, and Rafi Saab used to get his car and pick up dad, and then they used to go for recordings.
how
And this
wonderful this
continued
is.
for years.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it was not a small decision; it was a long-term decision.
I know,
And
that's why I asked. You were born in 65, right?
me, yeah, I was born in
So
60s. Yeah,
that basically you saw Rafi Saab throughout your early teens and perhaps late teens. You saw
yeah,
Mohammed Rafi up close.
yeah.
Tell me what you remember of that great man.
Well, see, he was a man of very few words. बहुत कम बोलते थे. मेरे मुंडन पे आए थे. And
Acha,
daddy invited him for my Mundan party, and it was in a very beautiful hotel in Bombay. It was called the Nataraj Hotel on Marine Drive.
I know that. Yes.
हाँ जी, तो आके ऊपर आए हॉल पे, आशा जी भी थी, मदन मोहन जी थे, बहुत इंडस्ट्री आई थी. तो आके व्हेन ही वाज लीविंग, आई टोल्ड आओ पाजी मैं आपको नीचे गाड़ी से छोड़ के आता हूँ. बाय दैट टाइम डैड वाज ऑलरेडी वेरी पॉपुलर. तो नहीं नहीं मिंदर कोई बात नहीं, डैड बोले नहीं आप चलो. ही इंसिस्टेड एंड ही वेंट डाउन टू लीव हिम. So when they came down to the lobby and he saw that large chandelier and everything, so beautiful, he's telling my father, Minder, यार तू बहुत जल्दी इतना पैसा कमा लिया, इतना सुंदर घर बना लिया तूने. तो बाजी कौन सा? Said, ये घर नहीं, बंगला नहीं तुम्हारा. अरे बाजी ये तो होटल है जहाँ आप आए हो, ये मेरा बंगला थोड़ी है. तो हाँ, वेरी नोबल, वेरी सिंपल पर्सन. एंड डैड ने उनको गाड़ी में बिठाया और फिर वापस आ गए. तो मतलब आई मीन वी हैव ब्यूटीफुल मेमोरीज. ही केम फॉर ऑल माय सिस्टर्स वेडिंग्स. ही यूज्ड टू
अच्छा,
कम. और बहुत प्यार था. जैसे ईद पे उन्होंने बिरयानी भेज देनी हमारे घर पे, खाना
अच्छा,
सवैयां भेजनियां. हम दिवाली
अच्छा.
पे डैड यूज्ड टू टेक स्वीट्स एंड गो टू हिज हाउस. इट इज
How
वेरी वेरी
wonderful.
वेरी लविंग,
Yeah,
वेरी
yeah,
ब्यूटीफुल.
yeah. Your father began with a blockbuster hit, Aadha Hai Chandrama Ya Raat Aadhi, with
यस
Sri Ram Chandra. It was a huge hit, which it still resonates after these many decades. Uh,
जी.
did he ever mention those early days to you as you were growing up? Did he ever discuss how tough or how easy it was for him to become what he became?
I think Mumbai, it was really tough.
Hmm.
It was very tough because the standard of music was very high in those days. It was not only the popular singers. If you hear several interviews of all the singers, whether it was Kishore Da, whether it was Rafi Saab, mainly to name, and my father, they would all say that there are such nice, beautiful voices who never saw it on the silver screen. But but God was kind to us and our voices, and we have been able to express ourselves through our music, and our voices have reached every house. But it was a very tough time. And so were the composers who are very well read, very educated in music. Each one of them was actually a master by himself, I would say.
Right.
And yes, and they were. It was um, a, a lot of your capability, your good behavior, your your etiquette in the studios, in the thing, which a lot of things mattered at the time.
Right.
Unlike today's time. Yeah, and everything was live because I have seen recordings as a child where 200 musicians are sitting and my father is singing over there, and you had hair raising voice in the monitor room because of with whether it was Ravi ji, music director Ravi ji, Lakshmikant Perilal or Nair Saab or any of them, the big stalwart, Kalyan ji, Anand ji. तो
Right.
इनके बहुत सारे म्यूजिशियन हुआ करते थे, बहुत सारे. कैन यू इमेजिन? और जो म्यूजिशियंस के हॉल में just the capability you can imagine from there, that the flute is Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, who's a maestro today.
Right.
On the santoor is Shiv Kumar ji, who was again a maestro. Table pe
Right.
Ustad Kareem Khan Sahib used to be there. Sitar pe Raees Khan Sahib used to be there. So this was the 100 musicians. So this was the standard of music in those days. They were
Absolutely.
each one of them is a master by himself.
Right.
So each one of them is a legend by himself. So it was a क्या बोले हिंदी में, बोले समागम ऑफ लेजेंड्स। महान
जी जी
लोगों का एक
बिल्कुल
समागम था।
बिल्कुल
और
बिल्कुल
उसमें ऐसा म्यूजिक बनता था, इतना डरते थे लोग। अब पूरे गाने में देख लो, हरि प्रसाद जी का जो चंद सेकंड्स का पीस होगा, पंडित इनका आपके रईस खान साहब का चंद सेकंड्स के पीसेस होंगे ऐसा। बट ऐसा हेयर रेजिंग परफॉर्मेंस देते थे वो लोग कि लोग वाह 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 करते थे, क्या क्या पीस बजाए, क्या मतलब। और ऐसी तवज्जो थी लोगों की,
जी
ऐसी लोगों का, ऐसे लोगों की सोच थी कि बस मैं अभी जीत के निकलूंगा यहाँ से, मैं सबका दिल जीत के निकलूंगा यहाँ से। और हर एक का जो ये कंपटीशन थी ना, इतनी हेल्दी थी, उसके कारण ये संगीत इतना खूबसूरत बना।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप your father had reminisced about the recording of Adhay Chandrama.
हाँ,
Sri Ramchandra apparently was at the back, and your father's voice wasn't reaching, so he kept saying
ये,
cut every few seconds.
ये,
Finally he came up front and he said, इनसे नहीं हो पा रहा, ये नहीं गा पाएंगे। तब आशा जी ने कहा, ये बहुत अच्छा गा रहे हैं, आप ऐसा क्यों कह रहे हैं, आप यहाँ
हाँ,
खड़े होके सुनिए। And then they
हाँ।
realized the cable to the microphone had come off.
Yes, actually it
And,
happened.
yeah, and the voice wasn't reaching Sri Ramchandra, and he couldn't figure out why he was so nervous when he was not
Yeah,
nervous at all. He was singing
yeah,
extremely well.
yeah.
So those
And
were the
even
challenges in those days.
true, very true. And Anna, Abna say both was there. Sriram Chandraji and V. Shantaram both were there. V.
अच्छा
Shantaram ji had come to see. So he asked Anna in Marathi, कि काय झालंय मुलगा, मतलब this boy become nervous. This is
हाँ
his first song. So he said, I must have. He's a very good singer, but we'll dub him again. We'll record it again. So he came and
अच्छा
said, Mahendra, don't worry, you chill, you sit down, and I'll let Asha ji sing. So she said, what happened? She said, इनका आवाज ही नहीं आ रही। कैसे नहीं आ रही? I can hear him. He's standing right next to me and singing so loud and clear. Why isn't his voice reaching? He said, I don't know. कहते पता करो. So the recordist came out himself. So the assistant recordist ने जो wall में plug करते हैं उसको,
जी
the wire that cable came from the microphone to the wall was not
अच्छा
plugged properly. So he pulled
ओह
it
अच्छा
out and pushed it back in. And he said, suddenly the voice became so beautiful. He said, oh, I'm
अच्छा
so sorry.
his booming voice
So it
came
was
out. He had a
Ashaji's,
booming voice.
Asha Auntie's, interference, I would say, or rather her gesture of telling them, no, don't do that, because this boy is singing very well. So
Right.
she
In
it
fact,
was
कपूर साहब ने तो ये कहा कि शायद अगर वो नहीं होता तो मेरी करियर उसी वक्त खत्म होनी थी।
एब्सोल्युटली राइट, क्योंकि इंप्रेशन पड़ जाता है कि ये लड़का तो माइक्रोफोन पे आके नर्वस हो जाता है।
जी
हाँ,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। Interestingly, I was again going through your father's filmography. Uh, he was intrinsic to the golden era, which is the 1960s. I mean, we can go through any number of songs, but a couple of things jumped out at me. Your father had some of the finest songs with Ravi and Sahir Ludhianvi.
जी,
आज सुबह मैं गा रहा था गाना संसार की हर शय का इतना ही फसाना है. What a
हाँ,
fantastic song.
व्हाट अ
Uh,
फैंटास्टिक।
lyrics देखिए उनकी. I mean, to me it's the same philosophical brilliance as मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया. In
बिल्कुल,
terms of what,
बिल्कुल
yeah.
सही।
Tell me something. Did Mr. Kapoor ever discuss his career singing as you were growing older, you were becoming aware of what good singing is, you were obviously looking at something similar. इन गीतों की कभी आपके साथ बात होती थी उनकी?
Yeah, see, that era demanded a lot of hard work, Mayank bhai.
जी
Um, whether it was writers, whether it was composers, whether it was singers, everybody used to put in 100% of themselves, or probably 110% of themselves. Like when Ravi uncle, after my father passed away in 2008, my son Siddhant, who's also a composer with your blessings, he and I went to meet Ravi uncle. He, at his bungalow, he invited. किसी शो के लिए जाना था हमने, तो उन्होंने बुलाया था वहां पर मुझे बंगले पे। तो वी बोथ वेंट देयर, तो मैंने बातें करनी शुरू कर दी। कहते हैं, रोहन, डू नो, चलो एक बार फिर से अजनबी बन जाए हम दोनों। इसकी मैंने 42 धुनें बनाई थी, 42 ट्यून्स।
अरे अच्छा
कहते थे 42nd ट्यून दे अप्रूव्ड। और कहता है उसमें इतनी अच्छी धुनें बनी, जो कहता है उसके बाद निकाह में मैंने जितनी धुनें बनाई वो सब उनकी रिजेक्ट थी, जो उस टाइम की
But
रिजेक्ट थी मेरी.
that's fascinating.
So yeah, so I mean that was the type of hard work. And then like अब डैड ने गा दिया उनके साथ वो
जी.
रिहर्सल की उन्होंने. अब जैसे रिहर्सल उनकी खत्म हुई कि चोपड़ा साहब की एंट्री हुई या बी आर चोपड़ा साहब की. यश जी तो वहीं होते थे. यश जी used to never leave. He
जी.
was addicted to music and Sahir Saab and everyone and my father, of course. तो वो बैठे रहते थे. इतनी देर में चोपड़ा साहब आए, बी आर चोपड़ा साहब. ओ यार मिंदर मैं सुनना है यार, एक बारी प्लीज फेथ तो सुना दे. तो डैड अगेन ही यूज्ड टू से सिंग द सेम सॉन्ग. अब वो खत्म
अच्छा.
हुआ, वाह 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 वाह, इतनी देर में किसी और की एंट्री हो गई. एक बार और बस एक बार. इतनी बार वो एक बार और हो जाता था कि by the
अच्छा.
time he said, by the time I reached the microphone, I never even needed the script. I knew the song by heart. And I remember the song by heart. But what used to happen was you were just brushing yourself and brushing your art and brushing your art. So
जी.
and without any, you know, it was never a burden. It was more a
Absolutely.
pleasure. It was more a
Absolutely.
pleasure. यार चलो फिर गाते हैं, चलो फिर
जी.
गाते हैं. बड़ा मजा आता था. It was a very,
Right.
yeah. I mean, how to describe that era is
No,
very
I can
difficult.
imagine that. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
These are difficult and personal decisions, but I'm going to stick my neck out and say that from your father's extraordinary career, three songs which to me are perhaps his greatest. One, of course, मैंने अभी बताया आपको, संसार की हर शय का. The second
जी.
one was चलो एक बार फिर से अजनबी बन जाए हम दोनों. Terrific
Yes.
writing. And to me, perhaps Mr. Kapoor's greatest song was Aap Aaye To Khayal Dil Nashad Aaya. He
Uh,
he put apps. In fact, I mean, I'm saying that as a tribute to him. That Mohammad Rafi would have been happy to hear the way he sang that song. He was that brilliant in that song.
true.
What are
True.
your choices? These are my choices. Of course, there's much to choose from, but the three
But,
songs, these are the
but do
songs
you
that
know,
I.
Mayank bhai, you
Gee,
just said what actually happened. When
acha.
this song came out, Rafi Saab used to call up my father. Minder, यार ऐसा गाया, इतना अच्छा गाया. He used to be
Oh,
very fascinated by soft singing of my father. In
acha.
fact, even there was another song, if you remember, Endata Katha Bhool Sakta Hai Bala, Kaun Ye Pyari Aankhein.
Ha
Very
ha.
soft and very tender song. शशि
Yeah,
कपूर साहब के लिए गाया था उन्होंने.
yeah.
एंड धर्मपुत्र का था.
Ha ha.
अब उसके रिलीज होते ही अगले दिन रफी साहब का फोन आया. फिर कभी कभी वो थाली आ जाती थी मिठाई की उनकी कि मंदिर इतना सॉफ्ट गाया तू यार, बड़ा मजा आया मुझे. बड़ा मुझे
अच्छा.
अच्छा लगा. हाँ, बिकॉज प्यार तो बहुत है ना आपस में इन दोनों का.
Ji ji.
एंड ही
And
यूज्ड टू.
for a long time, Mr. Kapoor used to be called sort of another Muhammad Rafi in terms of the way they were very similar. But I thought your father had a much more robust voice when it came to some of the songs.
Yeah, Dad began his career journey, of course, by his ideal was Rafi Saab, undisputedly. But then he was also very influenced by the Western singers. He used to say
Exactly.
they are very open throated. They are very their expressions are open, their voice is open, and he used to love that style also. So he used to
Ji.
experiment a lot on those styles. Now, if you the same voice which is singing a चलो एक बार फिर से और आप आए तो ख्याल दिल नाशाद आया, and suddenly you hear a ठंडे ठंडे पानी से नहाना चाहिए और
Yeah.
हमारी देश की धरती और sing they're two different मतलब it's so different. And today's time you would say two different legends would be singing those styles of
Exactly.
songs, those
Exactly.
genre of songs. But they
Right.
had they had covered such a big compass, such a big the rainbow was so big of so many colors they had in their
Right.
voices that it was difficult to put them in a niche type of a thing. Oh, he can only sing this type of songs. It was not like that. Of course, he
Yeah.
became popular. He would say, of course, that यार ये patriotism ने मुझे बहुत popular कर दी है. लेकिन he used to personally love these beautiful, meaningful songs, and
Right.
you'll
Right.
be even happy to know that the song that you like, Sansar Ki Har Shay Ka, was one of his own personal favorites.
Oh, acha, how nice.
Yeah,
No,
he
you
used to
could
like the
you
song
could
a lot.
feel that the singer has put his soul into this song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can figure, when you hear that, you can immediately know that सब यहाँ सब उन्होंने निचोड़ के डाल दिया है.
Yeah.
You talked about patriotism. Mere Desh Ki Dharti, of course, one has to talk
Yeah.
about that. He won the national award for that. And
Yeah.
he had a particular affinity with Kalyanji Anandji, although I don't think he sang a lot of their songs, but Upkar was the epitome for Mr. Kapoor. What do
Yeah.
you remember of Mere Desh Ki Dharti?
See, Mere Desh Ki Dharti story goes from here. I would just tell you that Manoj Kumar Sahab was working in a film called Shaheed, which was based on the life of Bhagat Singh Sahab, the first one which was made in black and white.
Right.
And my father sang that iconic song Mera Rang De Basanti Chola
Great song.
with, of course, Mukesh ji, and yeah. But that time, and if you see the film, there are some very sensitive, soft parts where Bhagat Singh is alone on the terrace or in the jail when he is hit by the Britishers, and he's remembering his parents and his life. So those parts he wanted my father to sing with complete passion, because it was going to be picturized on Manoj, which was Bhagat Singh, of course. So my father put in so much of his. If you hear them, Manoj uncle still tells me, "Ki Rohan, I get tears in my eyes." The way Mahendra ji sang that, that recording finished, and I promised him there and then that when I make my first film, Mahendra ji, the most powerful, the best song of the film will be yours, of course, and you will sing. You will always be my voice. So it was from that film that his association with Manoj Kumar ji started, and yeah, and then of course Upkar came. Upkar was his first production and direction. Manoj Kumar ji, as an actor, he had done several films, but as a director and producer, that was his first film.
Exactly.
VIP production, and that was.
Yeah.
But that became such a big mega hit, such a big hit that today sometimes they call Mere Desh Ki Dharti the second anthem of India.
Indeed. Indeed. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
In
yeah,
fact, it is sung more than the national anthem sometimes
yeah, yeah.
in popular imagination. अच्छा, मुझे एक बात बताइए रूहान भाई, ये इनकी दोस्ती विजयानंद से थी कॉलेज के दिनों से. For some reason, I could be completely wrong, but did he sing for S.D. Burman, your father?
Not much, not much.
ऐसा क्यों हुआ?
Not much.
आपको पता है?
I really
I'm
don't know.
curious.
He was very fascinated, and he loved Burman Da a lot. My father used to, in fact, on the stage when I started singing with him on shows, he used to make me sing a lot of Burman Da songs. He used to love
अच्छा,
Burman Da so much. And in fact, he loved the songs that Rafi Saab sang most for S.D. Burman. He used to say, I loved that voice, that entire thing. It used to give him a different high. So he used to love
I
all
see.
those Guide and all the songs that he had sung for him. So,
Interesting.
but by the time my father's career actually took off, if you realize,
Yeah.
Burman Da's career had already started taking a little dip.
Yeah, it was a big,
And,
yeah,
and
that's true.
yeah, and those days, these composers were such strong personalities. When they fell in love with, like, if their thoughts revolved around Kishore or revolved around Rafi Saab, Kishore Da or Rafi Saab, they would think that way. They would call them, and it was not that he did not like. Probably Lataji sang less for him. It was, and Asha ji sang more. It was not that they revered every singer as much, but
Right.
it's just that their thoughts matched that singer's.
Exactly.
So it was. I think it was. They are all incidental things,
Yeah.
which of course people cook up a lot of stories and make a lot of this and all that. But there's
No, that's
nothing
true.
truth to that. It is just that
That's
these people are passionate.
Yeah.
They were passionate to a different level,
Yeah.
and they believed in what they composed.
Just one more thing about your father, and then I want to ask you about your singing. Uh, if when you think of your father's career, uh, if I were to wake you up in the middle of the night and say, Ruhan bhai, dad का कौन सा गाना आपको याद आ गया बताइए, तो what do you think will come to your mind?
That's a good question, Ming bhai.
जी जी.
उनका encyclopedia इतना बड़ा बड़ा मुश्किल था. उनका index इतना बड़ा था.
इसलिए
ये
पूछ रहा
बड़ा
हूँ मैं
मुश्किल था.
आपको.
It depended on my mood.
अच्छा.
If I had a fight with my wife and slept, I would say, चलो एक बार फिर से ऐसा भी बन जाए हम दोनों. if I had a thought of something else, probably I would say किसी पत्थर की मूरत से मोहब्बत का
मोहब्बत
इरादा
का
है.
इरादा है. Yeah.
Probably. But of
नहीं,
course, these songs were so beautiful, as you rightly
yeah.
said.
Yeah.
That
Even, sometimes I burst into songs like Aaja Re Mere Pyar Ki
हाँ,
Rahi,
हाँ,
Raha Niharu Badi Tere Se.
हाँ,
Lovely song.
चित्रगुप्त जी,
Ji.
चित्रगुप्त.
Yeah, from
हाँ,
Unche Log, right?
हाँ जी.
Haji. In that movie, Mohammed Rafi had, to my mind, what is one of his greatest songs, Jag Dile Divana. Uh, Sometimes I wish your father had also sung that, because it's a really great song. Jag Dile Divana Ruchai Basle Yaar Ki. Uh, no, anyway, so I want to come to your. You've been singing. I mean, you've been doing a lot of concerts and shows, etc. But you did start as an actor.
Yes.
Why didn't you persist with that career?
Maybe I started very, very young. I was barely 16, 17 when I joined Manoj Kumar Sahab as
Ji,
a assistant director in the film Kranti.
ji.
That was when I finished my schooling and I was about to do colleging. And
Okay.
in that meantime, there was a gap that of 6, 7 months that children did like whatever wasted time or did something good or whatever. And my father, being a very sweet and modest person, but was a very disciplined person, he told me, "I don't want you loitering around. You tell me what you want to do." I said I would love to assist someone because I was very fascinated by the making of films.
Hmm.
And I joined Manoj Kumarji very gracefully. He accepted me as an assistant. I did the film Kranti as an assistant director with him. I became a pet of Dilip Kumar Sahab, Shashi
Acha.
Kapoor, Manoj Kumarji. It was a very big film. Kranti was one of the, after Sholay, I think is the biggest mega film that was made in India. And I was privileged to be a part of it. और उसके बाद मैंने क्या किया, मैं थिएटर करना शुरू कर दिया था. I met Shafi Nandar Sahab.
Acha.
He was a very, 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 very popular and a very respected theater director.
Indeed.
So when I met him and I did my first play with him, it was called नीला कमरा. And जो मेरे साथ मेरी बड़ी भाभी बनी थी, तो भाभी एंड देवर की स्टोरी थी वो. She lives in the United States of America. I hope she sees this show. She is Helena Luke. And
Oh, acha. Yeah. Okay.
Helena ji, she was my co-star. And she loved me like a younger brother. Of course, she was very fond of me. And I had a very beautiful time with him. Then I did a second play with him, Ada. It was then Neela Kamra, Ada. I was to do Ekshaf with him. In the meantime, Yashji selected me for my first film called Fastlay.
Ji.
Yash Chopra Sahab gave me my break as a actor in the film Fastlay, the lead role, of course.
Ji, I remember that. Yes.
And then उसके बाद I did Love 86, ईमानदार, मेरा नसीब, and couple of films.
Right.
90s में कुछ दौर जो था, जब this was the mid 80s I would say or late 80s में शुरू हुआ, 85 से करियर शुरू हुआ मेरा. लेकिन कुछ माहौल यहाँ ठीक नहीं चल रहा था. And then probably you may call it, that's one way of seeing it, or probably call it destiny or whatever it was. But gradually I started shying away from this
Acha.
thing. वहां से किया तो in the meantime वहां पर क्या हुआ कि my father used to do a lot of shows. Of course, he used to love doing shows, and show business was his passion. तो वहां बहुत से organizers ने बोलना शुरू किया कि महेंद्र जी, we know Rohan sings and he's youth of today and he's popular with the young children. So why don't you call him along with you in the show? So it'll be like a father and son thing, and he can sing the popular dance numbers and whatever he wants to sing, and you can do your act, and it'll be lovely for audiences. तो वो बाप बेटा की जो जोड़ी, पता नहीं हजारों कितने शोज हम लोगों ने साथ में किए मिलके वर्ल्ड ओवर. एंड हाँ, तो जो म्यूजिक का जो मेरा पैशन था फिर वहां पर निकला है. तो आई नेवर मिस्ड एनीथिंग, आई एंजॉयड एवरी फेज.
लेकिन आपने प्लेबैक करने की नहीं सोची, क्योंकि आपकी आवाज,
दैट वाज मोस्ट अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट.
जी.
दैट वाज द मोस्ट अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट. सब मेरे दोस्त थे उस जमाने में, जितने कंपोजर्स थे सब मेरे दोस्त थे. Right, beginning from Adesh began his career with my father as a drummer. So he and I were same age and we were like friends. Jatan Lalit were my friends. Anu Kapoor, Anu Malik was my friend. जितने वहां उस जमाने के कंपोजर सब मेरे दोस्त याद थे, लेकिन कभी सोचा ही नहीं. इतना
अच्छा
शोज में हम लोग बिजी थे, इतने हम लोग वो वहां पर रुके, बोलते हैं ना, लाइव ऑडियंसेस का इतना चस्का चढ़ गया था हमको कि इस तरफ ध्यान ही नहीं दिया मैंने.
नहीं,
एंड
अभी भी लेट नहीं, अभी भी कर
बट
सकते हैं आप।
अब तो माहौल चेंज हो गया है, मैं भाई म्यूजिक का ही माहौल चेंज हो गया है.
हाँ,
देखिए,
वो सही है।
मालिक ने चाहा तो कुछ करेंगे. हम,
जी।
मेरा बेटा भी आपके ब्लेसिंग से सिद्धांत
नहीं,
एज
मुझे
माँ
मैं उनसे
सरस्वती,
भी बात करूंगा अभी। यू
माँ
मेंशन यूसुफ
सरस्वती की
साहब।
पूरी है.
यू मेंशन यूसुफ साहब।
हाँ,
योर फादर sang मांगी थी एक दुआ जो कबूल हो गई, शक्ति में।
हाँ.
आपको
His
याद
first
है सुना?
association with Yusuf Sahab was in the film Gopi.
हाँ
He sang Ramchandra ke Aage Siya Se,
या
and
कल्याण जी भाई, आनंद जी भाई, यूसुफ साहब, एंड
yeah,
महेंद्र कपूर साहब. आई रिमेंबर
yeah,
दैट. No, I remember मांगी थी एक दुआ because for once your father's voice worked very well with Yusuf Saab. It worked very well in Gopi too, but यहाँ बिल्कुल जैसे बिल्कुल मैच हो गया था दोनों का.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And for a
and
lovely
it,
composer, R.D.
right.
Burman, for whom he sang very less, but yeah, Barbara.
हाँ, Shakti. Yeah, R.D. Burman, obviously, a great name.
Yeah,
One of the true giants of Hindi cinema. Just a couple of things from you before we get your son in. I'm very keen to meet him as a young man. आजकल आपका मुझे रूटीन बताइए. What kind of work are you engaged in? Are you thinking of making any albums now that you've been at it for so long?
Main bhai, I keep doing my our work of music keeps going on, and as I mentioned with your blessing, Siddhant,
जी,
I also am giving him all whatever little bit जो माँ सरस्वती ने दिया है, उतना support जो दे सकते हैं as a father, I give him. I do a lot of shows. I keep
जी,
working on some new music all the time, and I will come
very
out
good.
with a different Bulle Shah's album now. I'm working on one
Oh,
song
how
of
wonderful.
Baba Farid, and
अच्छा,
ऐसे
कब
अलग-अलग
कब
किस्म की कुछ ना कुछ हम लोग करते रहते हैं. And
कब प्लान
people
है
give us
आपका
all
ये
the love.
एल्बम का? एल्बम कब प्लान कर रहे हैं?
ये चल रहा है, इसका पहला गाना भी रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं हम लोग, and
अच्छा.
it will come out soon. We'll share it with you first.
Oh, how wonderful. Yeah,
बस
it's lovely.
बोलते हैं उनके उनके पग चिन्ह पे चल रहे हैं.
जी,
और आई थिंक लाइफ, इफ यू सी बाय लार्ज, a lot of things matter in it besides only your work success that
बिल्कुल.
matters. I think there are so many aspects to life which my father taught me. He said, at the end of the day, Rohan, you will never think of which were your hit films. We'll never think of which were your hit songs. You will think of the people who loved you most. You'll think of the good deeds that you did. You'll think of the things that matter to you as a human being. So
Indeed.
those are the culture. Those are the things that he imbibed in us. And of
Yeah,
course,
right.
uh, even Siddhant was very close to my father.
अच्छा.
I got married very young, so my son also had an opportunity to be with his dada for a good amount of time,
That's good,
and
yeah.
they used to sit down together and chat for hours together. तो कल्चर जिसे बोलते जो एक संस्कार होता है, संस्कृति, इस सिवाय माँ बाप के और कोई दे नहीं सकता बच्चों को.
जी,
और
जी.
we are privileged, blessed, besides being a renowned figure, that he was a fantastic human being. What he and my mother, my mother was his pillar all
Right.
throughout with him, in all his highs and lows. She stood by him like a pillar all the time, a pillar of
अच्छा,
strength. And
अच्छा.
yes, till the very end, we lost dad very early. Of course, he was just 74 when he left us.
Right.
Mom stayed with us for about 10, 12 years after that. Then we lost
अच्छा,
just before COVID. We lost her too. And
अच्छा.
but we're blessed that my parents had, besides all our work, all our glamour, all our music, everything, that love and affection that people give us, there is a little bit of that वो बोलते हैं ना, एक हमारे religious संस्कृति, एक
जी.
मेरे घर में there is a thing of religion, of संस्कृति, which I
अच्छा.
think matters to us a lot.
No, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. No, this has been wonderful. If Siddhant is around, I would love to talk to him now. Is
Sure,
he
sure, sure.
there?
I'll just invite him.
I,
It was lovely talking to you, Mayank bhai.
I found out about your ambitions to become. I mean, you already are a composer. Tell me a bit about it. How you started and what kind of music do you sing or compose?
Right. So I started quite early. So I was I started at the age of 16. I started composing professionally, and I was lucky to get some good opportunities which kept me going, and
Wonderful.
some good projects that I could work on, and try to put my talent ahead.
Yeah. What kind of music do you personally like? I mean, given your age, obviously it will be far more eclectic than a lot of others, right?
Right, right. Yeah, it's actually very difficult to answer that question because there's so much of, there's so much good music around and so many different types of music. And I think also coming from Bombay, uh, and from the family that I belong to, I've been exposed to so many different styles of music, and I
Right.
somehow enjoy a lot of them. Like at different times, I enjoy each style. So it's a bit difficult to answer. Like from the house, of course, I've heard so much of classical
Acha.
Hindustani music, and from Dada as well as from Dad. And Dad actually also enjoys a lot of the English classics. So I've heard a lot of Elvis Presley and Tom
Oh, I
Jones
see.
because of him.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Nice, nice.
And then when I went to college, I had a lot of friends who would listen to rock and make me listen to rock, and I used to enjoy it as well. So I don't know, like the I think the
It,
variety is
it's a
endless.
big range. Yeah, it's a big range.
Yeah, it's a big range. Yeah.
I'm curious about your. Is there something that you can share with me in terms of your composition or a song that, or you could maybe send me a clip that I can play at some point when I run the interview? Is
Sure,
it an
absolutely.
album or it's for a movie? What is it?
So I mean, at the moment, I would be most excited to share my last music video which I released, which is called Beparwah,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
right, and this was a beautifully written poetry by Ruskin Bond,
Oh, how
and
nice. So that sounds fascinating.
yes, and he was kind enough to gift the poetry to me, and he asked me to make some music, and that's what brought about this single of mine, which is a music video now. And I took it forward. It was a very nice poetry, which was slum children at play, which basically spoke about uh, the attitude of slum children and how sometimes we, despite having more, the so-called luxuries of life, we don't live as much as they live life. So
That's
it's
true.
more about learning from them. So I took that forward and I recorded in EM Studios, Rahman's studio. I
Acha.
recorded with EM Orchestra there, the Sunshine
Oh,
Orchestra.
how
Right.
wonderful.
This is the first time a poem of mine has been put to music. Thank you, sir. Imps of mischief, barefoot in the dust.
Let me
Agreed.
ask you this. As a young musician and a
Right.
composer, if
Yes.
you were to cast your grandfather to sing a song for you,
Yes.
what kind of song would you want him to sing given his extraordinary range?
That's so true, because as you said, he has such an extraordinary range. He was so known for his patriotic songs, maybe because it's something difficult for a lot of singers to
Yeah,
achieve that kind of a voice.
yeah,
But at the same time, I think personally, I'm always a huge fan of his soft voice.
yeah.
So I love my one of my favorites of his is "Aap Aaye To Khayal Dil Na Shad Aaya."
It's a great one of Hindi cinema's greatest songs in my book.
Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
So I love the voice that he's brought forward in that. So I would
Also,
possibly be
you would
thinking.
want something like that for him.
I'm guessing that would be one of them. I think I would
Okay,
do a lot of
okay.
things,
Then I
but yeah, that
understand.
would be yes.
Tell me about, do you have ambitions to be a full-time composer for Hindi cinema, or you're already doing it?
So I actually studied music composition in Trinity. I did my master's in music composition from Trinity College in London.
Oh, I see.
Right. And I've also most of my younger years I've studied Hindustani classical in India.
Mhm.
So with all of that, I have somehow I've got a lot of opportunities from uh, overseas, from outside India,
Oh,
that
that's
have
nice.
been exploring over the years. Right. So I mean, I've done a couple of shows as well. There was a show called Miss Marvel, which you have
Ah,
probably
right.
heard
Yeah.
of.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Right, so that had some of my music featured there. So
Oh, I didn't
I've
know that.
been getting
Congratulations. That's
yeah,
a great platform for you.
right. So that's why I've been lucky with some good opportunities along the way. But at the same time, I would love to work even for projects in India. I feel like the music, everything in India is changing now with OTT coming in, and the entire way of people looking at art is changing. The mainstream music is also changing. So I'm
Absolutely.
quite interested in that change. So I'd love
It just,
to work on the
yeah, no,
opportunities.
true. It strikes me there is a fascinating biopic waiting to be made on your grandfather. It could be such a wonderful musical. Uh,
Absolutely.
there are enough hooks in his career. Look at it this
Yes.
way.
Right.
He came of age when giants like from Manna Dey to Kishore Kumar to Mohammad Rafi to Lata Mangeshkar to Talat Mahmood, they were already well-known names because he was younger to all of them, and yet he left such a remarkable stamp on the Hindi cinema
Absolutely.
music. Uh,
Absolutely.
it,
Absolutely.
it, if I had the means, I would make a biopic of that kind. Kishore Kumar, somebody is already making, for instance.
I've heard about
So
that. Yes.
maybe you should, the two of you, you and your dad, should consider that.
Someday, yes. There'll be
No, this is
some
terrific.
project.
Yeah. No, what we'll do is, if you are in the process of doing another album or a song or some interesting project, do
Yes.
let me know. We'll do a little extra segment for that. But this was wonderful. I'm glad I was introduced to you, and I would love to hear more.
In fact, I would just like to mention offhand that there is another album of mine releasing. Uh, Actually, it's releasing tomorrow.
Oh,
Uh,
tell me about that. Sure. So what's the
yeah, so
name?
this is called Gateway to India.
Okay.
This is a collaboration, a very, very special collaboration. This is a collaboration with a gentleman, a composer from London who's called John Ashton Thomas.
Okay.
He was a legendary composer. He's
Right.
worked in some of the greatest films of Hollywood.
Right.
And so we worked on this collaboration. We worked through COVID on these tracks.
I see.
And I mean, he was back in London. I was here, and we were working on video call. And unfortunately, in the middle of our collaboration, uh, I got the news that he left us. So
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, so but then because the music company and myself as well, we were also attached to him, that we decided to somehow get everything together and release this as a tribute to him.
Oh, that's
So
terrific. Oh, congratulations. When
thank
it
you.
is out, send me a link. I would love to play it.
Surely, I'll
Okay.
share that with you.